Miss Nichols, didn't you know? Your child's condition is hereditary bone cancer. At most, she has 6 months to live. If I'm not mistaken, your mother passed away from the same disease. I advise you to get a thorough checkup yourself. Aspen Nichols felt like all the strength drained from her body. The doctor's words kept echoing in her mind as she stood there trembling uncontrollably. What's wrong, Mommy? Sophie Fuller's sweet, gentle voice broke through Aspen's thoughts. The little girl looked up at her mother with concern. Did I do something to make you unhappy? Aspen's eyes fell on Sophie, lying frail and pale on the hospital bed. Guilt gnawed at her heart as she stared at her precious daughter's thin little face. She couldn't help but think Sophie didn't deserve such a fate. If it's my fault, I can apologize, okay? Sophie forced a smile, trying her best to be brave. Aspen's heart twisted in agony. She couldn't believe her beloved child only had 6 months left. Aspen had no parents and no family, and her marriage with Colin Fuller was in shambles. Sophie was the only reason she was still holding on. Swallowing her tears, Aspen replied, I'm not unhappy. I'm actually very happy because you're going to get better soon. Sophie's eyes lit up with hope. Really? That's great. Will Daddy come to see me today? Her big dark eyes shimmered with anticipation but quickly dimmed, as if she was afraid to hope for too much. Aspen's chest tightened, the pain sharper than any form of physical torture. Despite the tremor in her heart, she steadied her voice. Yes, sweetheart. I promise you that Daddy will come to see you. Really? Sophie's innocent voice carried a trace of doubt. Aspen understood where that lack of confidence came from. Sophie knew Colin didn't love Aspen, but as a 4-year-old, she couldn't grasp the complexities of adult relationships. All she wanted was a normal family and a little bit of her father's love. Now she was dying and Aspen couldn't even give her that. Aspen replied, Sophie, I promise you, no matter what, Daddy will be here to see you today. Happy birthday. She gently stroked Sophie's hair and kissed her forehead. The little girl beamed with joy. Once Sophie drifted off to sleep, Aspen made a call to Colin's secretary, Riley O'Connor. She drew in a deep breath before speaking. Where's Colin? Tell him. I've made up my mind. There was a brief pause on the other end. Mr. Fuller is currently at Miss Sanders' birthday celebration. I can notify him tomorrow if you'd like to discuss things, Miss Nichols. Aspen's throat tightened at the mention of Miss Sanders. She gulped hard and said, Tell Colin that after today he'll miss his chance. I won't wait. Without waiting for a response, she hung up. 10 minutes later, Riley called back with an address, Grandview Hotel. When Aspen arrived at the hotel, Riley met her and led her to a private room. As they approached the door, they could hear voices from inside. Colin, come on. In front of me, Gwen, and everyone here, tell the truth. You've been married to Aspen for years and even have a child with her. Do you seriously not feel anything for her? Aspen's face turned pale. The deep, cold voice that followed sent a chill through the air. You think I could ever care about someone so disgusting? Someone with no morals who only knows vile tactics? And as for that bastard child? I'm not even sure she's mine. Don't disgust me. In a calm, indifferent tone, Colin delivered the cruelest words, each one piercing Aspen like a dagger. She could accept his hatred and disdain for her, but she couldn't bear him referring to their daughter as a bastard child. She pushed the door open, and the sound instantly drew everyone's attention. All eyes turned to her, and everyone's expression shifted as soon as they saw her standing in the doorway. As usual, Colin sat at the head of the table, the center of attention. His cold, sharp gaze landed on Aspen, his brow furrowing slightly. Sitting beside him was a glamorous woman, Gwyneth Sanders, his ex-girlfriend and the woman Riley had mentioned earlier. Gwyneth's smile faltered briefly when she saw Aspen. She exclaimed, Aspen? Why are you here? Colin, why didn't you say anything? Everyone knew Colin and Aspen were in the middle of getting a divorce. That was why Gwyneth had the confidence to address Aspen like a hostess. Colin's expression hardened and he said flatly, Everyone leave. Gwyneth's face stiffened at his words. Meanwhile, Aspen's eyes met Colin's cold, unrelenting gaze. She replied calmly, That's not necessary. There's nothing about us that needs to be kept private. They can stay. If this had been 5 years ago, Aspen wouldn't have been able to speak so steadily in a moment like this. Back then, her feelings for Colin had been a chaotic, desperate crush. Now, all that remained was the painful aftermath of reality. She had only one goal now, to do right by Sophie. Gwyneth's face darkened as she grabbed Colin's arm for support. His gaze grew even colder as he retorted. The terms are still the same. What else are you trying to add? Aspen's dark eyes reflected nothing but a calm resolve. My condition is for you to stay with Sophie for 1 month as her father, starting today. The room fell into stunned silence as her words hit like a bombshell. Zach Sanders, Gwyneth's younger brother, shot to his feet, his face twisted with fury. He snarled, "I knew it. You're just trying to worm your way back into Colin's life. If it weren't for you, Gwen and Colin would have never been apart for so long." Gwyneth's eyes glistened with unshed tears as she grabbed Zach's arm. "Zach, stop." However, her gentle demeanor only fueled Zach's anger. "Gwen, you've suffered from depression for years because of her. Do you think I'm just going to stand by and let her do this again?" Turning to Colin, he demanded, "Colin, are you really going to let her manipulate you a second time?" Colin's gaze flickered for a moment, but then his expression turned icy again as he stared at Aspen. "That's not going to happen." Aspen had expected that response. "I'll give up any claim to your inheritance. I don't want a dime from you. My only condition is that you spend 1 month with Sophie as her father." Her voice trembled slightly as she mentioned Sophie. "If you don't agree, I won't sign the divorce papers." Zach hurled a plate at her. The shattered pieces hit her dress, shards flying to the floor. He shouted furiously, "You shameless bitch!" Aspen brushed off the fragments without flinching. Her voice was chillingly calm as she stated, "Colin, if you want to get rid of me, this is your only option. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in a legal battle with me for at least 2 more years." She added, "But if you agree to stay with Sophie for 1 month, I'll finalize the divorce immediately afterward. No more delays." Colin's gaze darkened further. Beside him, Gwyneth drew a deep breath and finally spoke up. "Colin, you should agree to her terms." Her words shocked everyone in the room. Zach asked in disbelief, "Gwen, what are you saying?" Gwyneth tightened her grip on Colin's hand and gave him a warm, reassuring smile. "Do it for us. I trust you."